There are a couple more seats up front here, so for who wants. Well, I think it's important to talk about seats as you're building paper airplanes, because it connects back to that idea of sitting and going somewhere. And I want to take you guys to a place that I found in 2011 that is actually called Gario. There's a village that carries my name. Not my first name, not my second name, but my last name, my surname. My first name means a disease of the tongue. I looked it up, it's in the dictionary. You can too. My second name means I have no clue. I never asked my mom. She's here, so you guys can ask her afterwards what it means. And my last name, I'm still trying to figure that out. What I do know is that it's in the Central Republic of Africa. And I was, sometimes you Google your last name. I shouldn't right now, because you'll find some stuff. But when I did it in 2011, I came on a website that was from the Central Intelligence Agency. Central, decentral, where exactly are we going when we're talking about intelligence and intellect? Where exactly are we going when we're talking about agency? Who's agency? Who's the agent? Who's network? Who's networking? Who's working? Who is king of the network? Central Intelligence Agency wrote something about my village, about my last name. In the middle of nowhere with a couple of Arabic signs with the exact destination, how to reach there, by jeep. And it wasn't on a site. It wasn't static on a page in a book. It was on a site that could change, that could be changed, that will be changed, and that is changing as you read it. It updates. So the CIA wrote something about me before I was me. As I was going through the website, trying to figure out how exactly to get to the Central Republic of Africa, because if a village carries your name, you want to visit it, right? I mean, you have to. It would be strange not to. And I couldn't. For those who don't know, there's currently a clash going on in the Central Republic of Africa. People are killing each other. So I can't really go. But what I did decide to do was figure out, how did I get here if my name came from there? How'd that happen? My first clue was St. Croix. Who here has heard of St. Croix? Which St. Croix have you heard of?
The US one.
Ah, the US one. There are 21 St. Croix in the world. 21. Did you know we have one in the Netherlands as well? Yeah, St. Kruis. But we're going to go to the US one. Or at least it's now known as the US one. It used to be known as the Danish one. It was bought and sold in 1914 and became the US Virgin Islands. And before that, together with St. Thomas and St. John, it was Danish. Danish? How could that be? What were the Danes doing in the Caribbean? I've never heard that story. But then again, most people have never heard of the Dutch in the Caribbean either, so yeah. So it's St. John, St. Thomas, St. Croix, religion, religiosity. There's something about spirits, spirituals, specters, ghosts, and belief that is entwined in all of us without us even knowing. We come together, mesh together, we are one with everything that is without. I am not just a product of the Central Republic of Africa. I'm more. I'm connected to a colonial legacy that I may not have wanted, but it's there. So what to do about it? I can ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist. But then what happens? What do we see? I see a blank canvas, and it's time to fill it. In St. Croix, I found out, because I went there, that there was a chest. My granddad passed away in 2003, and he left this chest for us all to look in. Now, in the chest itself, it had diaries, it had maps, it had slides of a past I did not know but wanted to get closer to. I wanted to be in the vicinity, the neighborhood of that which was done before me and that which I was about to do as well. So I decided to sneak a peek. I decided to be cheeky and delve into his secrets because his secrets could not just die with him. They needed to live on as the ghost, as the spirit, as the third one who told me that C is not just a letter, but C is for the Caribbean. Oh, my time's up. So, in St. Croix, I found the chest, and in the chest it had all of these letters, and then the letters themselves told me nothing. I couldn't decipher them. They were written down in a language that was not mine, but could become mine. So I decided to go to the place where languages are born. Can anybody guess where that is? Yeah, you. Yeah. Yeah.
Place where languages are born.
Yeah. Everywhere, nowhere. No, the place where I wanted to go was a place that was also connected to Denmark, and that's India. Because for those who don't know, Denmark also went to India. You can Wikipedia it, don't worry. And in India itself, I didn't speak the language, but I sought out a guy who knew a cousin, who knew a sister, who knew someone's aunt, who knew a football coach, who told me that I should speak to the dad of the kid who was his opponent in the third game from the last one he played. And I found him. And it was in this quaint little shop, dust everywhere, books everywhere, they were lined up, talking about Bamako, all the way to Lagos, about Buenos Aires, about Brasileira, talking about everything. All of the books were there. And he showed me the origins of language, and he showed me the origins of numbers, of letters. And he showed me that letters themselves were not meant to be seen, but were meant to always be spoken. It's a sound that we've abstracted, that we've cut together into pieces and decided that 26 times a sound is an alphabet. But is that true? And he showed me it wasn't. He showed me that there was more to language than what we hear. There was more to language than what we speak. It was more than just a vibration in your throat. It was that which you saw and felt, that which gave you goosebumps, raised the hair in the back of your head. That which told you that the person who's invading your space, because when I'm talking to you, I'm invading your space literally, I'm pushing air into your ear, is trying to move you. So my granddad's notebook, which led me all the way to this quaint little shop in India, moved me to talk to a guy who I've never met and who I thought initially was kind of nuts. But you know, that's how it goes with people you don't understand. So as I'm there, and he's speaking a language all of his own, trying to tell me that red is not red, but purple, and the purple itself is green, but green doesn't exist because green is the trees. And he told me that green that we see is not the green that we see because we don't see color. We see warmth and gradations. But what's a grade if it's just a number or a letter? How do I go from A to F and still pass with a 6? Because that's our culture, right? And he told me that I was almost there. Or at least he spoke in euphemism, so almost. And he sent me to talk to the Aboriginals. It was troubling, because the Aboriginals had received an apology and yet still were unequal. So where do we go from there? How can I speak to someone who is seen as unequal to myself? How can I speak to someone who displaces the balance between right and wrong, good and bad, and who is seen as an aberration, not an Aboriginal? How do I fix that into something that's fixed? Or should I? Or shouldn't I? Or should I? Or would I? Or wouldn't I? Or could I? I was there, and I decided to pack them all up in a plane and take them home with me. And I want you guys to help me out. Grab a paper and make a plane. Pass it on. Oh, sorry. Here you go. And I want you guys to build a plane. And the plane you build is to take us all away. Go. Could you stand there for me? Here. Could you come with me as well? Could you come with me? You guys. You, could you come? Could you stand next to them? Kan je meekomen? So, I've lined up a couple of people whose planes impressed me. But we're standing on the wrong side. We need to cross. Yeah? Okay. Now I want you guys to line up here, one next to the other. Yeah? Oh, that way. You need to be facing that way. Yeah. No, stand here. Come here. And you there. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna try and see whose plane took us from Australia to the Falklands. You go first, sir. Ooh. I think we ended up back in Melbourne. Your turn. Yeah, nice. Okay. Good girl. Yeah, your turn. Ooh, okay. A little bit closer. I think, where are we there? I think we're close to Cape Town. Your turn. Now, give them a round of applause. So in the plane, together with the Aboriginals, we flew and ended up here. In the Falklands. And as the British will have felt today, I am declaring the Falklands independent. And in the Falklands itself, I met a culture that was torn between age-old colonialism, new type of understandings of themselves, and also people who did not know where to stand on their own island. They were told that every single bit in space, every single nook and cranny, every single headspace and dusty corner belonged to someone else. They remembered that their own thoughts, their own words, their own rhythmic languages was actually someone else's. So how can you be yourself if you're the product of someone else? How can you be yourself if you're actually just the best parts or sometimes the worst parts of your parents? So what happens when you're trying to understand the waves in the ocean and just don't come closer to a creek and a meadow, a river and a stream? When the words just drain from a faucet as if it was leaky and a plumber was needed. I wasn't that happy there. So I decided to leave. And I passed through Central America, or no, actually, Central South America. No one corrected me, huh? You guys aren't paying attention. Central South America. I made a stopover in Mungo. People are like, what, Mungo? Where's Mungo? Finish it. No. There's a guy here who knows, and I'll point him out at the end of the show. So, from Mungo, I decided to go to Jamaica. Because if there's one place where language itself has borne the traces of the past and is constantly reinventing itself, it's Jamaica. And why Jamaica? Well, why Jamaica? No. 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 Why Jamaica? Why Jamaica? You miss. Why Jamaica? Jamaica celebrated 50 years of independence a couple of years ago. Independence from who? The Danish. No. The reason why I went to Jamaica was because of their speech patterns. Jamaicans themselves speak a language that is older than the island. No. No, but that's not the point either, so don't worry about it. Jamaica led me to an understanding of what it meant to be Caribbean. What it meant to be the synthesis, the collection. What it meant to be the end product of funnels. We traveled to a black hole and ended up somewhere that was less than more. That was more than less. That was not the mores that you talk about when talking about Shakespeare. It was the more that was more. The more that existed in that space between childbirth and making your own child. It's more. And the understanding of Jamaican language, Jamaican English patois, is the Scotsmen who were on the plantations, who changed the language. And so from there, I decided, wait, so if that's what happened in Jamaica, what happened in Curacao? Okay, I'm not going to point it out. Who knows what Curacao is? Yeah, you guys get the joke now. So. There's a question? Okay, yeah, okay, no? You're from Curacao. Hey, give her a round of applause. I've got a couple more here who would like to speak Papiamento with you. And there, I touch upon the language, Papiamento. And Papiamento itself, just like the Jamaican patois, is the result of that friction. It's the result of that connection. It's the result of coming together and not being afraid of taking and using, mixing and matching, and deciding that what you're making is your own. It doesn't matter where it came from. Well, a little bit, but you know. It was Portuguese, it was German, it was Dutch, it was English. It was everything. It is everything. And from Curacao, I decided there has to be an understanding of not just language and the way how language presents itself, but there has to be a way how language visualizes itself. Not just in my words, not just in my hands that move involuntarily, or sometimes when I decide to touch someone who isn't there. What are the signs that you need to look for when you're communicating? Who speaks to you when you think you're not being spoken to? And I decided for me, that had to be Spain.